drift boats that you see around the world today, and I mean literally around the world. You find them in the southern hemisphere, Europe, across Canada, Alaska. The spawning grounds for those boats are right here, the McKenzie River.
They truly are, they're well named because they are, I mean, they're built to drift down the river. They've got no keel to them, they're flat to allow you to go side to side like we're doing right now, so we can cut straight across. If you had like a boat that's built for the ocean or for a lake, it's got a keel to keep it on direction, on plane. But here that would hurt you because you really need the flexibility to move on top of these waves and avoid trouble.
I'm kind of a throwback kind of a guy. I like the tradition. I like the old boats. I like the old styles. It's just it's a matter of taste. You know, some guys like aluminum, some like plastic. I'm not one of those guys, and neither are any of the guys around here. They're in love with the old wooden McKenzie riverboat, and long may it live. It's a beautiful thing, and it's a tribute to your area here. And you know, that's why I drove 750 miles from Wyoming with my whole staff. We drug 7 boats this way, and we're dragging 9 the other direction. We picked up 2 more restores, so they'll be back next year floating in the parade.
Grandpa, he came from Norway. His dad was a boat builder, and then when he came to the United States, when he was basically without parents, he went to Alaska and went fishing. And I think my dad said that's where he got the idea for the rope seat, because I think Dad said that the Indians were using that, or somebody in Alaska was using the rope seat, and that's what kept them dry when they were out in the cold.
They'll call it guardrail in other places, but here in the McKenzie River it's called a rub rail. In the early days, most of the trailers were made with either Model T or Model A axles, because there was a lot of them laying around. And that wheel had no fender. And you can see that the wheel that has no fender happens to hit the boat right where the rub rail is. So this rub rail was to prevent this boat from running over up against one of the wheels and rubbing a hole in the boat on the way to where you were going fishing. So it was literally a
had nothing to do with the water.
A protection piece. It's tradition now to leave it on there. It helps track.
My first memory of being in a drift boat was when I was about 2 years old. 2 or 3 years old, and I remember going with my dad, and I remember being riding through Martin Rapids underneath the bow of the boat, when I was just a little tiny guy. I remember my dad took me out quite a bit when I was a kid. My grandfather as well. I used to ride down the river with him and learn to fish and learn to row, and so I started rowing this river when I was about 13, on my own, and taking my own boat out from 13 on, and then it just was kind of a natural thing to evolve into being a guide and outfitter here. So
I do know that everybody who built a boat made their own little changes over the years. So you change a few things and then it's a different design. But the basic boat is something that's just evolved on the river as people have fished and run rapids and everything.
The nice thing about a drift boat is it requires no motor, it's quiet, and to learn how to navigate a drift boat on the river is really learning how to go with the flow. And what I have learned over the years is that there are some very striking parallels between running a river and running this thing we call life. You can't stop time, and so the challenge is how do you negotiate where it is you're going in a most successful way. And it's kind of like running a river. You get on the river, there isn't anything you're going to do that you're going down river. And so how do you navigate it? How do you control the boat so that you avoid obstacles and you have a pleasant, safe, pleasurable run?